Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to those of you watching from around the world. I welcome you to join us here, and thank you for joining us here, where we're broadcasting live from Sedona, Arizona, at Enchantment Resort, where we're having our New Year's retreat, the second year in a row. And as we're coming into the home stretch here, there's just over half an hour before the stroke of midnight, where we will begin the year 2013 here. And so for those of you, if you're in time zones that have already crossed that line, Happy New Year. And to the rest of you, thank you for joining us to spend it together and bring it in. Now, what I do, I have an annual tradition whereby I review the year that has just completed, which we just did here in the room that was not broadcast live, based on the revelations and dispensations I gave a year ago this night, and that being of 2012, having been the year of faith, we just finished reviewing how that played out in people's lives, how they, what types of rites of passages they had, what life initiations, life lessons they learned that showed them where their faith was strong, where it was weak, how and where and why invitations came to develop greater faith, stronger faith. And people took turns sharing how and when they made leaps of faith, where they chickened out and with fear, chose not to, and the price they paid. And when people did make leaps of faith, the fruits they reaped from those choices. So it was a very powerful review, and that's what we spent the last hour doing. And now comes to the time, which I share and do every year, where I speak of the coming year, 2013, and the dispensation that is befalling humanity and the whole world as a mantle of divine grace that descends upon the earth and emanates an energy that invites people in to develop these qualities of divinity within themselves. And truth be told, you watch and see, circumstances will happen in society, in politics, in business, in economics, in spirituality, in your own personal lives. You'll see so much happen and invite you and guide you in this realm, in this milieu I'm going to address right now. That's what this coming year will be about. In 2013, beloveds, I'll describe it a couple of different ways. 2013 is the year of the divine romance. It's the year of the beloved. And it poses an opportunity for people to experience a love of which poets only dream. It's the love that every human being seeks and has sought from the moment you took your first breath. It's the reason you come into the world in the first place. That seeking of the ultimate love, the love of all loves, the greatest love, of pure, true, unadulterated, unconditional love. It's what we seek and claim in our human partners, and most people never become fully satisfied with. And we settle for less, or we don't settle, and we keep searching and looking. But that's because the gaze has fallen. The gaze has fallen from where it needs to be in the first place, because that ultimate love, that love of all loves, is not to be sought in another human being. That divine romance, the courtship of the beloved, I'm speaking, is the beloved of your soul. It's the love affair with your Creator, that one who spawned you, who created you. You began as a thought in the mind of God, in the mind of the Creator. And that thought spun into form through such passion and devotion and love for you, the essence of God that is you, that you took form. And it's this quest and the search for that love that drives us all the way through our lives. And we look for it everywhere, in everything, except for most people, they're looking in all the wrong places. They're looking in career, they're looking in money, they're looking in fame, they're looking in status, they're looking in a partner for most people. And no thing and no one can give you that. It can only be gotten, it can only be sought from the Creator, for that is your origin, it is your essence, it is your true divine complement and counterpart. It is the beloved of your soul. And the courtship of the beloved is that divine love affair with your Creator. Now, 13, which most people do not know this, again, the oxymoron of the human condition, 13 is considered in many parts of the world as the most cursed number, wicked and cursed and evil and to be, stayed away from. But ironically and not coincidentally, 13 is the alchemical structure and configuration of the heart of God. It is the actual number of the divine romance, is the number 13. And it's interesting, in one country on earth, the country which is most famous and known for passion and romance, Italy, the number 13 is sacred. Most Italians wear a gold 13 around their neck. And I don't even know if it's known why in Italy, but that is actually why. 13 is the number of the beloved, which is why it's been avoided by most of humanity, which has chosen for so long to live in exile from God, and then blame God for that too. So, we're in the year 2013. We're in the sacred number of the heart of God, and this is the year of the divine romance. So the invitation is to place your focus on falling so deeply in love with God. And when I say that, it also means self, because I and my beloved are one and the same. So as you objectify God outside yourself as the beloved, realize at the same time you objectify so that you have a point of focus, because a mirror cannot see its own reflection. And this is the whole purpose for the divine romance, the courtship of the beloved. You enter that divine romance as the vehicle for attaining self-love, which is the instrument of your liberation, of your merging into oneness and becoming whole and complete as love. And so the Creator gives us this vehicle of a divine romance so that we have it within ourselves, the masculine and feminine, the male and female within ourselves, because even though we embody one gender, our soul is not male or female, as most of you, I believe, know. Your soul is both genders. And so there is a courtship within the self as well as outside of the self. Now, that's at the level of the absolute. That is the supreme focus and goal and purpose and benediction of this year. Now, how you apply that and why and where you want to apply that is in all areas of your life. So it's first and foremost to create that love affair with God, with the Creator, and by whatever name you use. It doesn't matter. A rose by any name is still a rose. Let's not get hung up on the word. So it's having that divine love affair with that essence. I'm talking about falling in love with yourself, ultimately. And as you develop that love affair with the Creator outside and as with your divine self within, you then apply that and overlay that in all areas of your life. Naturally, first and foremost, with your spouse, with your partner. Not as the person who will make you happy, because no one can do that. And those of you who have failed after failed after failed loves, perhaps you're discovering why. It's nobody's job, and no one can do that. Only you can do that for yourself. Only you can make yourself happy. But if you're in this understanding of the true origin and source of inner peace and happiness, which is self-love, which is attained through that courtship with the beloved, then you can very easily overlay that on your human relationships. Again, first and foremost, with your spouse, your partner, your lover, with your children, with your employers, your friends, and I dare say your adversaries and enemies as well, because even that is an illusion at some level, because everyone in essence is pure love. At the fire core of every human being, from the axe murderers to the saints, is the same white light of the Creator, of pure love. If you take any human being and put them in an incinerator, after a few minutes, you have that pure light. The rest is a shell. The whole game, kit and caboodle we play with in our journey to find wholeness. There aren't good people and evil people. There are people who make good choices and evil choices. But everyone is pure love in essence. And when you choose to see that in everyone, you will. And when you choose to be that for everyone, you will have the experience of that. And you will discover and then experience a different kind of love than you've ever known. It's a different kind of love. It's the kind of love that brings you to this room. It's the kind of love that you have when you have these experiences of the divine and you say, my God, I've never tasted anything like that. No drug has ever given me that. No sex has ever given me that. No partner has ever given me that. And you come back for more and more and more. But ultimately, the reason you come back is not just to drink it, and I don't mean to diminish that, but it's to learn how to become it. It's to learn how to access it. It's to learn how to be it, so that it is you. It's not something you go get and collect. It now is you, and you emanate and radiate it, and give it, and share it, and can manifest it and create it at will in every given moment. And that's what this year is really, really all about. So, for those of you who are in relationships, give yourself permission and take, again, the leap of faith to change the nature of them. However beautiful they may already be, recreate them anew. See them as not anymore the vehicle for making you happy. Find the happiness within yourself and then share that with your partner. Take the onus off your partner of making you happy, of fulfilling your needs. You need to fulfill your needs, and you need to find that. The objective is to find that with the beloved. Now, there are some instruments that will help, some talismans that will help call in the energies for this year. I like to give talismans and tools to people that will help create a force field of this energy in consciousness in your aura as well. And in terms of essence, of floral essence, the fragrance of pure rose in essential oil holds this vibration. I was saying earlier today at this retreat that everything in outer creation vibrates at a certain frequency. And on physical plane, rose is the highest frequency of anything on earth. The amount of megahertz it vibrates at. So it's the highest vibrational essence on earth, and it is of pure love. And so, and that's what I mean by highest. The highest love frequency of anything on earth is rose, which is actually much higher than human beings, the average human being's frequency. And so when you have that essential oil around you, and if you're going to get it, I do suggest you get, when you buy it, seek ones out that say 100% pure and natural, because most oils on the market are synthetic, even if they say genuine or real. There's no regulation in the essential oil industry, sadly. So, but it is a common denominator, commonly known, that when, and a common practice, when it says 100% pure and natural, then it should be, ideally should be. So having that on you. Also, it's good to know that while most essential oils are strongly recommended not to put directly in your skin because they burn most people, rose is one of the few oils that can go directly on your skin. Now, if some of you have extremely, extremely sensitive skin, it's highly unlikely to burn anyone. But if it is a little bit strong for your skin, you can dilute it with, my recommendation is pure jojoba oil, because of all the oils in the plant kingdom, that is the closest in constituency to human skin oil. So that's usually used in the essential oil industry as the diffuser for oils. It also will spread it out because it's a very, very expensive oil, extremely expensive. So you'll still get the full potency and vibration of it, and it'll last longer and it'll smell just as strong. So you could wear it full strength, or diffuse it with some jojoba oil, if you like. And also the gemstone that will hold this vision and this frequency and this mantle for you in this year is the ruby. The ruby is a stone which holds that vibration, because the crystalline structure of the actual heart of God is a 13-faceted crystal, ruby crystal. So the 13-faceted ruby is the alchemical structure of the actual heart of God, of the Creator. So that's also a very powerful image to use in your meditation. You can surround yourself each morning. Say, I invoke the 13-faceted ruby crystal heart of God around myself for full power and protection, for full sourcing and connection to the divine, to be filled with that love of and for the beloved of my soul. And see it, see your whole body inside this giant 13-faceted, deep, deep red ruby crystal. So we have the oil of pure rose, the ruby crystal. I've given you a sacred geometric grid, and I've given you a divine practice to have and to hold in your life, as well as the goal, and how to apply that in your life, in your relationships. Now, lastly, and of course, most powerfully, most importantly, I saved this piece for last. To the very best of your ability, and with the purest of intention, strive to see, and not just with your eyes or your mind intellectually, but to the very core of your being, do your very best to see and hold every single person for real as the beloved itself. Because God lives equally in every single human being. So for every human being, you are not loving as God itself. That's one part of God from which you live in exile. That's one part of yourself you are not loving. Think about that. And I mean this with all due respect, because we all have these mechanisms in our mind, these little demons, I like to call them, that just judge without even thinking, even with the purest of intention. Our eyes glance upon people and we make these quick, reflexive judgments of people. Who's this? Who's that? Who's pretty? Who's ugly? Who's fat? Who's skinny? Who's old? Who's young? Who's funny? Who's not? Who's fun to be around? Who's a nag? Who's a pain? Who's controlling? Who's in fear? Who's pushy? These judgments we make, we call them observations, but they're really judgments. Replace those this year. First of all, do not judge yourself for having them. It's just the way our minds work. And we don't have to get into the explanations of it. It's a moot point right now. I want to keep on focus here. Avoid judging yourself because of those mechanisms, those reflexive mechanisms. But do place your attention and focus on shifting them into a different type of observation. And I'll give you a mantle, a general mantle of observation, like, again, a mantra or mission statement that you apply to all human beings. When you cast your gaze and your eyes, even a glance upon someone, train yourself, practice the art of instantly finding something to love about that person. That's the vehicle for eventually seeing and holding everyone as the beloved. Because remember, number one, God lives equally in every single person. Every human being, in essence, is pure love, regardless of their beliefs, their practices, their mouth, their talk, their walk, their choices. Therefore, there is divinity and beauty and goodness inside of everyone, even the ones who hold themselves the lowest and whose behavior is the most vile. So, again, take the onus upon and place the onus upon yourself to see something divine, something beautiful in everyone, every time you look at someone. And I'll go one step further. Without being all maudlin and corny and sappy, whenever you have the opportunity, share that with a person. How many times have we seen in life when, again, because of fear of intimacy, you'll tell the compliment to someone other than the person about whom you're feeling it? Oh, I was just over at Susie's house, and isn't she something? Why don't you tell Susie that before you leave? Why go tell all your other friends? It's fear of intimacy. It rules people's lives, as I said earlier, more than the fear of mortality, the fear of death, which dictates everyone's life. The fear of intimacy is far, far greater. Take that leap of faith. Have that courage. Take the opportunities. And again, you don't have to be all sappy and maudlin and gooey, but when you have the opportunities, pay people compliments sincerely, not just to stroke them, but from your heart. They can be simple. Make observations. One of the sacred practices I have in my centers around the world is something I designed called the circle of compliments. Every once in a while, we'll sit all in the room, and each person, and I'm sharing this so that you'll adopt this practice, whatever gathering you're in, we will take the time, however long it takes, based on the number of people in the room, and every single person will intuitively just pick someone. It doesn't have to be everyone speaks a different person, but you just pick the one you feel drawn to, speak a compliment directly to that person's face, something you admire about that person, something that you would like to emulate or attain within yourself, something that you appreciate, some aspect of that one's divinity or beauty. It's so powerful, an alchemical, transformational healing tool, because it acknowledges the truth. It's acknowledging and owning the truth that we're all pure love in essence. So practice this circle of compliments, share it with others, and give praise and compliments to the people directly rather than to the people all around them, so that they get the benefit and you can transcend that fear of intimacy. This is all about the divine romance, transcending that fear of intimacy so that that love can get to you, that love can get to you. We've all gone through life building walls around our heart because of the pain in childhood of feeling hurt, feeling abandoned, receiving conditional love, if love at all. And so we go through life building walls around our hearts, but what we don't realize, we don't know any better as children, a wall is not discerning. A wall knows only to be a wall. So the same walls we very instinctively and naturally and purposely, that's very good reason, we needed to build them as children. We were defenseless. We didn't have the protector and the guidance that was so pure and powerful. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that we built them. But when we get older and become awakened spiritually, it's then that we need to recognize that those same walls that kept out pain, though they really didn't, but we did the best of our ability, to the best of our ability, those same walls also keep out love, because a wall knows only to be a wall. And so we have these walls around our hearts, and we have this fear of intimacy. And this year is about tearing those down. Look for opportunities to become vulnerable. Look for opportunities to go beyond your fear of intimacy. Take the extra step. Take the leap of faith. Bare yourself when it's appropriate to do so, when you know it's safe to do so. I'm not asking you to be foolhardy or foolish, but when you know it's safe to do so, you know who's safe around you as sentient beings. You know who's trustworthy for the most part. If you question it, then that's not an opportunity. But when you know that that person's trustworthy and that person loves you and respects you, then you go the distance and be vulnerable and take the chance and bare yourself. Give that person the praise, the compliment. Speak to people directly. See the Christ, the goodness in everyone, and demand it of yourself. Demand it of yourself. Insist upon seeing something beautiful in everyone you see, even the ones who are most tempting for you not to see beauty in them. Those are where you'll make the greatest gains. The one who has repulsed you the most. Force yourself to see something beautiful in that person, because you are the one who will ultimately be blessed even more. You will be blessing that person, because as you look upon someone and see that beauty, on some way, level, large or small, that person will see it in him or herself. And that, beloveds, I tell you, to give away the store, that's the magic of what happens in this room. That's what happens. Because when I look at you, I only insist on seeing your full divinity. And it's by putting your gaze upon my gaze upon you that you receive it and then become it. You receive it and then become it. Because the eyes of pure love are gazing at you as God's eyes, as you are just whole and pure and loving. And this, as I teach different people who call themselves healers, this is the true essence of healing. The world believes that healing is fixing, and it's not. Why would you need to fix someone who's already whole and perfect? In God's eyes, no one is broken. No one is flawed. We're all perfect. And that's the true essence of healing. I mean, healers who function as fixers, they still can achieve miraculous things, by all means, because their intention is pure. And they've developed abilities, powers and abilities to heal. But I'm talking about the penthouse level, not the third floor or the fourth floor, with all due respect to healers and healing. But at the level of the absolute, the highest, where the most divine current and light of transformation can come through, I don't look at people and see them as broken and say, oh, my divine powers can fix you. I look at you and I just say, that's God in front of me. That is the most beautiful, loving, amazing being I've ever seen in my life. You are whole and perfect and pure. And what I really do, when people say, what do you do when you're touching people? I fall in love with you. I look at you and I think how much I love and adore you. And I recreate that every second of every minute of every day. Love you more, love you more, love you more. You are the most amazing, beautiful being I have ever seen in my life. And because you're seeing the reflection of it, it's coming into you and you're becoming it. And that's the true essence of healing, or what I like to call transformation. It's not fixing. Remember, we're restoring our inherent divinity. We're not looking for it or finding it or making it. It's already in us. The process of God realization is remembering and restoring what already is and always was. We're in the process of remembering that we are pure love and then restoring it by repetition, by practice, by immersing our tainted and distorted consciousness in pure truth and pure love over and over and over again. Choices, when repeated, become behavior patterns. When behavior patterns become repeated, they become belief systems. Belief systems become truth. Truth becomes reality. And that's how it works. And all we're doing is replacing the distortion with truth, which is love. But the process is the same. We're just replacing the essence, the source. It's like looking at computers. We're replacing corrupt software with beautiful software that's functioning and new. But the dynamic, how the brain and the mind works, is the same. All right, so beloveds, I welcome and invite you into the courtship of the beloved this year, for those wherever my cameras are around the world listening. Touché, touché, have fun, and fall deeply in love with everyone and everything. And I leave you lastly, before we do our countdown to midnight, with a proverb that I wrote years ago that is an axiom of life that I live and I share with others to adopt if you so choose. And that is, again, another vehicle and instrument that will further this whole process I'm talking about. And that axiom of life is, bless everyone and everything all the time. It's the greatest thing you can do. Be happy for people's successes. Just bless them and bless them and bless them, no matter what. It's free and it's easy, and the fruits you derive are so huge. Resist the temptations to be small. Resist the temptations for an eye and wanting revenge and wanting justice. Waste of time. Just bless everyone freely and lovingly. Insist upon seeing the goodness in everyone, finding something beautiful in everyone. Fall in love, enter the love affair with the beloved of your soul, the Creator, and then apply that. Let that overlight and overlay all your relationships. Not to make you happy, but to love them as you love God, as you are now developing that love for self. And watch the magic happen. Watch the magic happen. You shall see. And a year from tonight, we will have a very, very wondrous talk. Now, I also want to share a very important divine tool, a masterful tool, is the art of detachment. So it's important with something like this, and in life period, to be very, very detached, because for some of you, relationships may fall away, and they might need to. A few of you have spoken about this today already, for whom it's happened this year. And for some of you, relationships may be very quickly on their way to you. So my invitation is to be detached and welcoming and accepting. There are people who are just hunting and hunting and hunting for a partner, and there are people who say, I'm done with it. I've had enough. It stinks. I want nothing of it. But again, how can you truly know what you want if you don't really know who you are? So be detached, be welcoming and open, because this, what I'm speaking, is opening you to an entirely new world, one that is very wondrous and magical. But remember, it's not about another person. It's about you with your Creator. And how that plays out is how it plays out. So allow it. Allow it. And if it does not bring a partner or keep a partner, it doesn't mean you're not in it. That's why it's called the divine romance. It doesn't require a human counterpart for you to find wholeness and completion. And when I say wholeness, I'm talking about love. A love like you cannot even imagine, beyond anything humanly, physically, palpably capable of experiencing. You don't need a physical partner for that. And if one comes, there's a reason for it, but it's not to make you happy. All relationships are karmic in nature. Loved ones, sexual ones, platonic, familial, employer, employee, they are all karmic in nature. They are stones in the tumbler to bump up against us, to make us all polished and smooth. To take a rough, unhewn stone and turn it into a polished gem. That's all relationships have the same function. Not to make you happy. They are to mold and shape and refine you as pure love. So the ones that are closer to you, in other words, the ones that stay in your energy field longer, have more to offer you. They have more refining powers and abilities. Whereas if you see a cashier once for 2 seconds, that offered you something, gave you an opportunity to have a moment of becoming greater love. Ones that you magnetize in the long-term positions in your life, spouses, partners, children, employees, roommates, you magnetize in form the ones who have the most karma with you, the most to help refine you, not to make you happy. That's your job with you and the beloved. So remember that, and that will bless and protect all your relationships, especially your loving and romantic ones. Take that burden off their shoulders of making you happy, and you'll be a lot happier. All right, beloveds.